Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
My name is Rafael Okotoro. Welcome. Welcome to the first installment of a series on the experiences of Black individuals living in Vermont. Today's forum features the voices of Black men's experiences with policing and incarceration. I too identify as a Black man living in Vermont. Last year, a university study that examined traffic stops and race affirmed that Black and Latinx drivers in Vermont are more likely to be stopped, ticketed, arrested, and searched, yet less likely to be found with contraband than their white counterparts. The report also found bias in policing. Black men are especially vulnerable to traffic stop. Societal representation of Black masculinity sheds light on the social undercurrents of search disparity, which Erica Morales, attributed to association of violence, threat, and criminality rooted in the historical images of Black men as brutes. Morales also noted that the image of Black men as rapists created during Jim Crow was a way to control Black men, and such an idea continues to play a dominant role in the punishment of Black men today. Consequently, the nation's whitest state, which has one of the lowest incarceration rates in the country, also has 1 in 14 of its Black residents incarcerated. Please join me in welcoming Sean Pratt, Marion Russell,
Hello.
Raymond Moore, and Jake Brown. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sean, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
You are the master, Sean, this is for you. You are the mastermind behind this event. All right, your vision paved the way for this panel. Okay, so in about 30 seconds to a minute, can you tell the audience who Sean is? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sean Pratt, and I come from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up the youngest child of 5 brothers and sisters. I came to Vermont to go to college. While I was here, I experienced racism, and I got through that, but I was still able to go to college, hold my head high, and continue to push on. I made tons of friends within the state of Vermont, throughout the Northeast. But to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm an advocate. I'm a person that cares about other people. I'm a person that will fight to the end and fight for other people more than I fight for myself. And that has always been the person that I've been my whole entire life. And my purpose of putting this together was to let people know who I am and let everyone know who these guys are, because we have something to say with anywhere in this country. So. Yeah,
and I also know that you're very active in the community, as you said. You're an advocate. One of the things I personally admire about you is, we talk about this often. You're also coaching AAU ball. You've got this program going where you're trying to establish a pro team locally. Is that right?
Yes, we're trying to establish just an atmosphere where kids can go play basketball, do different things, just a place to go, because a lot of places in the Northeast, there's no place to go to play. There's nothing to do. So a lot of these children, even men, even grown men, we need places to go to so that we can grow as people, and how can I say, establish relationships with all different types of people. And I think what's lacking is the fact that we need more ideas from different types of people. And once we have that, then we can be on our way. But right now, there's a lack of that, and we need to get back to that. We need to get to that, and to listening to other people and other ideas, because we have, like I said, we have something to say, and we have things that we have in our minds also.
Thank you. So, TT, my man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
So, TT, you're doing a lot too. You're involved with the Black Lives Matter movement. You're trying to run for office. You're doing a lot of stuff, man. Why don't you take a few, 30 seconds, a minute, give us a quick intro. What do you want the audience to know about you?
Well, first and foremost, my name is Raymond Moore, also known as TT. Most people, family members, friends know me as TT, my community, through the Black Lives Matter of North Adams. Also, I'm an organizer for the Northern Berkshire Intersectional Partnership. I'm a father. I come from a big family. I personally have a big family. My main thing is getting the compassion back in the community, because the community, some people in the community don't believe what's going on. They think it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. We're here to show you that it's not a hoax. This is real. And my job is to protect my children, their future, and my community kids' future. Make sure everybody has a safe environment to participate and become the person they was born to be. So that's what I'm about. And also, I'm running for city council. The only way you're going to make change is to get in the office and change. So I'm not gonna keep going on long, but the main thing is that we all have to learn how to change and accept each other as one. But there we go.
Thank you. And by the way, I can call him TT. People who knows him can call him TT. His name is call the man Raymond, as you said.
All right.
Jake,
I'm going.
so same question. What do you want the audience to know?
Well, first of all, I come from a lot of different places, and I've seen a lot of different things or whatever. But just in a short little synopsis, I'm just the average Black person. I'm not as into my community as my partners up here, doing big things. And that's one thing I admire about Sean and TT, is that they are making moves in their environment, in their community. And it's something that I want to do as well. So my part here is just being a voice at this time of Black America, saying, like Sean said, we have things that need to be addressed. And so if I can shine some light on those things, that's my part that I want to play here. I come from North Carolina. I am a resident of Vermont right now. I grew up in California, northern and southern parts of California, and I've seen a lot of different types of racism. So it's just something as a grown man, I had the opportunity. That's kind of what brought me in, Sean. That's how we got connected, just talking about what needs to change, And so, again, that's my part in this, on how to get that voice out to the masses so that you recognize the issues at hand that other people don't recognize,
Thank you. Mariam, same questions. What do you want the audience to know about you?
Hello, everyone. I am just a humble Black man living in Bennington. just trying to cope with systematic racism, like TT said, in and out every day. I've been around here 20 years, and in certain capacities, I've seen it, and I'm trying my best to deal with it. And it's a struggle every day. I've experienced small bouts of racism at work and in the store, just in everyday life. I don't even know how I'm saying it, but I'm here.
Glad to have you here, brother.
Thank you.
So the first part of this discussion is to really talk about some of the issues that you've experienced with policing, and then we will segue into the second part, which is issues around incarceration. So I'm just going to ask this question real quick to give the audience a sense of your own experience. So how many of you, if you can just show your hand, by a show of hands, how many of you have been stopped by police in Vermont? That includes me. Okay, and so including yourself, do you know any black person who has been stopped by police for no reason at all, for no reason? And what did that cop say? So the other part of that question is going to be, what did that cop say? So everyone knows someone who has been stopped. That includes me. Okay. So what did the cop say? Anyone wants to jump on that?
I'll jump on that. Well, me and my fiance was traveling from Boston back up to here. We was pulled over. His exact words is, "Your inspection sticker is bad." He walked around the car, noticed my inspection sticker was good. Then his third question was, "Who is the black guy in the passenger seat?" To my fiance. That shouldn't even been a question. He started asking where, because I had baby seats in the back of the car. Where's the child? Is the child safe? Are you safe? He kept asking her that. And mind you, she's Italian. So I'm in the passenger. I got my seatbelt on. There should be no communication with us. If you're pulling us over for a valid inspection sticker, which you realize is okay, is valid, you have your high beams on. They find any excuse to egg on, to be aggressive. They want you to be the aggressor. So I just stayed there quietly. Sure enough, I got pulled out. He pulled her to the back, asked her questions about me. Is she safe? Does she feel comfortable with the baby? This, that, and the third. So that's where one of my incidents happened. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I have a similar experience like that with my brother-in-law getting stopped. And I noticed that he was going to get stopped because he was driving around at night in Vermont. So it was something that I kind of thought, I called him up. I said, listen, you got to be careful. You will get stopped, but you got to make sure you don't have a reason. So what did the cops say? Go ahead, Jake.
So to that too, you don't really need a reason. Also, I've been stopped, and the cop comes up to my window and says, you weren't speeding or anything. I just want to stop you and check your back lights or something was wrong with your back lights. And again, nothing wrong with my tail lights. And I asked myself, okay, well, I drive a Mercedes, and if any lights were on my back or anything in the back, it would have told me on my dash. So, and he really couldn't say anything else to that. Didn't ask for my ID or anything, as if he knew who I was. But it was just like, if you're not stopping me for speeding, if you're not stopping me for a legitimate reason, why am I being detained? And you go through that every so often. It's mind-wrecking. Unnecessary, because you look on the news and you see that this black person, his traffic stop was his last traffic stop. And that's something you have to stop and think about. That's why our heart beat every time you see a police come up behind you. Because you don't know.
Wow. Anyone else wants to add to?
Well, I
two instances where one with me and one with my brother. I was driving from work, have a uniform on because I worked in one of the places out here at NSK. Girlfriend bringing me home, got a uniform on. He doesn't even go to her window. He said he's stopping her for a traffic. He does go to the window. He said stopping her for a traffic stop. And then he proceeds to come over to my window, see I have the uniform on, and still wants to ask me, even though I'm kind of in the system up there. He knows who I am, and he's still stopping. And then my brother, he was traveling from Bennington, going back to Castleton with my daughter's mother, and the cop didn't even say nothing. He just went over to the passenger side and asked, "Who are you?" And asked for no idea, nothing. He found that suspicious. Why are you asking this man? You're supposed to be talking to the driver. Yeah, so that's the two instances, me and my brother. It's like, you got something against me. I got a uniform on from this town that you know I'm working in. You still have the question. Because, girlfriend, it's waiting. I'm a black guy.
That actually feeds into a question I wanted to ask you, Marion. I know you also, I call you Ghost, all right, and that's your nickname. But before I get into that, I want to give Sean an opportunity to chime in because I know Sean's got a lot to say. And when this brother speak, you got to listen. So take it, Sean.
Now, it's kind of similar to Ghost's story with being a passenger in the car. And instead of the police going up to the passenger, they go up to you. In this case, they went up to me and asked me for my ID and my credentials, and they went and checked them. So that was kind of different for me, but I complied at the time, didn't have nothing to worry about, but that was one of the incidences. There was another incident where you talk about pullover, but this time I wasn't pulled over. Somebody said that they saw me driving, and then the police came to my house and and gave me a citation because he heard someone said that I was driving. So these are the things that were going on. I mean, it could be, I'm pretty sure it was worse. There were times when police come to your house and then tell you that, well, I heard that there was underage girls in your house. So what would they do? They would say, okay, I want to go check your home. They would come in, so you would be like, no, well, you're not just coming in my house, right? So what they would do is be like, all right, well, we're going to keep a police here. We're gonna go back to the station, get a warrant, and leave one police here with the door open. Can't do that. These are the kinds of things that they would do.
Yeah, let me actually ask a follow-up question to that because I heard you guys all say the same thing. Someone else is driving, they come to you and ask, and I've actually heard someone have that same experience, share the same kind of experience. I haven't been in that instance where I was on the passenger side. A lot of the times I'm the one doing the driving because I like to drive. But why do you think cops do that? Is there a reason to come to you if you sit in the passenger side?
Honestly, they're scared of our color. They're scared of our color. We don't have to do nothing wrong. We could just get out on a model operating, jogging, shot to death. We don't have to do nothing wrong. Just because of the color of our skin, put fear in their heart. So they feel like they got to use their authority and their power to justify their action. They're part of the oppression. They're not the solution. I'm not saying all cops are bad. We know we got some good cops. Accountability is what we're asking for. We're asking for the good cops to speak up because these fake road stops and pullovers, they're getting out of hand because our children, brothers, and sisters are losing their lives, regardless. Mass shootings, every person walked away. School shootings walked away alive. Every one of them walked away alive. Name one black person that died, 262 people that died over the years Name one of them walked away. Name one. And you don't think that's a problem? You think we don't see that? We're woke, we're gonna speak up, we're gonna keep mobilizing, and we're gonna keep going forward. These pullovers, these fake cops using their authority to oppress us still in the United States, we're not allowing that no more.
Thank you, Titi. And I just want to say there was such thing as sundown laws, right? It may not be, look it up, folks, sundown laws. It may not be what we know it as doing Jim Crow today, but those such things still happen organically in ways that you can be out. Basically, sundown means you can't be out as after sundown if you're black. During Jim Crow era, they would lynch you.
Different, excuse me, yeah, to add on to that, yeah, like you said, different laws that they had where you would go to jail for the most trivial of offenses, where it would be congregation of maybe 2 or 3 black men at one time, or, you get caught looking a certain way, or if you're laughing, that's where that saying comes in. What was it called? The barrel of laughs? Because the black people during that time wasn't able to use they weren't able to show any joy. Obviously, there wasn't no joy during that time, but all of that was snuffed out with white supremacy. And that has been so woven into the American psyche. It's Americanism. It's part of the American dream. It's like apple pie, man. So this is what's going on in this country. And now here we are trying to reel that back. And it's gonna be a battle, but we all ready for the battle.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jake.
Just trying to add to that, that I feel as though certain protocols are just racist protocols are woven into the police rule book or something, because of the way each one of us had the same experience in different parts of of this state alone. What statement, again, I have to ask, what statement are you saying to us, government, police, whoever you are, who are putting these situations into play and then saying there's nothing wrong with it? You feel me? Okay, we have how many deaths from cops killing black people within the last 2 weeks? When does it stop? When we just had a trial of somebody getting murdered on live social media everywhere. Everybody saw someone getting murdered for the first time in their life. They ain't never seen it. They saw it that day. Okay, and it took however long for people to deliberate that this was wrong. Still, it took a senator to say, if nothing happens, then we need to be in an uproar or the nation. So you have to look at things like that and say, what message are you sending to this culture of people? Because it does not look positive at all. When you do get caught in the wrong, it still takes you time to deliberate whether this person was maliciously murdering this person or was he actually trying to apprehend them. And hands down, it wasn't that. To the point where these guys are saying that aliens came down and possessed this man. I'm sorry, if I was a judge, I would have put that lawyer, and you would serve a third of that man's time just for that statement. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, Marion, I want to go back to you with this question. So imagine Marion as a brother with suit, tie, speaks in ways that conform to whiteness. And when I say whiteness, by the way, I should clarify that because people get confused. When we talk about whiteness, it's not that we're saying that you are a white person necessarily, but society has a way of stereotyping what is white and what is black.
White
So So when I talk about whiteness, is culture and certain things that comport or conform to the norms, what's considered the standard and the norms of society, right? Versus blackness, right? So in other words, in other words, it's not about necessarily about color of the skin. It's about mannerism. It's about style. It's about speaking. It's about language. All of those things, right? If you got a brother that grew up in Vermont, 96% white state, right? Who sounds different, right? That brother might not fit in going into Albany, right? It might not have that same way of speaking and mannerism. Whereas you have if you have a brother, a white person who grew up in Albany, they might have those mannerisms, right? So there's the difference between whiteness and blackness. So imagine, so Mary as a brother with suit, tie, speaks in ways that conform to whiteness, right? And then there's Ghost. And Ghost is cool. He's got your back. He may look hard, but he's actually a good guy, right? And everyone loves Ghost. And then, but Marion and Ghost, here's the twist. Marion and Ghost are the same people, right? Same person. How do cop treat Marion versus Ghost? Is it the same or is it different?
Actually, it's different because I've had an instance where my neighbor was being accosted by somebody, and basically the cops didn't even know I changed my name and kind of my identity, and they came there. I had to talk to them, unfortunately, about the situation. And then I said my name. He didn't even know he was a Ghost. I said my name, man. I said, oh yeah, I remember you. I haven't seen you in a long time. But I was just telling him, like, I need to do something about policing around here and all this other stuff because it falls on deaf ears. Like, there's certain ones that they think, because I've been here a long time, that they can speak to me some type of way, and then there's other ones that they know not to say nothing to me. So they know I'm like one and the same person. So they just have to come at me in a respectable way, or I don't have no time to talk to them.
Yeah, and the sad part about that is you are the same person,
Yeah.
right?
But
It's their eyes. Right.
in their eyes, they're blinded. They only see what they want to see.
Yeah. I want to switch over to the next question I have, and this one is going to be deep. Sean, I would like you to start us off with this question. So, between 2012 and TT, you mentioned something about this as well. I think maybe a little bit as well, Jake. Between 2012 and 2021, we saw strings of videos that resulted in Black men and women's deaths. After brief interaction with police, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, Philando Castile, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Daniel Prude. What was that? Trayvon Martin. Well, Trayvon was it wasn't police related, but it was someone who. Freddie Gray. I mean, we can go on, but more recently we saw an Army lieutenant assaulted while in uniform. So actually, Titi, you start off with this. How do you respond to someone who says Black lives doesn't matter? I've heard people say that, right? And all lives matter. Someone might say these things don't happen in Vermont, right? Some might say that. How do you respond to that? What do you want people to know when you talk about Black Lives Matter? What does that mean?
Black is beautiful. Black and brown people need to be safe. When I get that question, all lives matter or Black lives don't matter, we all know all lives matter. So we're human. Period. We're all human. At the end of the day, we all believe that. The brothers and sisters are somewhere. But in others' minds, they have this deep belief because they're stuck in the 50s and 40s and think this new generation is going to set what they're doing now. Now, I'm 39 years old. Black lives do matter. If black lives don't matter, that's a problem in their eyes. We all know all lives matter, but black lives can't matter. Black lives can't matter until black lives really matter to the fact where we unify to get together, stick together, get our own banks, school our own children. And it's just not black lives, because we have white allies. We have people that stand on the side of us as well. But we have to let the world know that being black is not a threat to you. We're not a threat. Every black person is not a threat to you. You understand? We want justice the same way you get justice. Equality for all. Justice for all.
Are you talking about this?
Yes, I am. And my main thing is that when they put that statue in New York, with the Statue of Liberty, liberty is freedom. And freedom is what we're fighting for. It's something that we should not have to fight for. Our ancestors fought for this country. Somehow it's divided. We built this country together. We're going to stand here together. You're going to respect me just like I'm going to respect you.
Thank you. Sean, do you want to add to that?
This is what it is. Throughout history, we all know that black people in this country had never mattered. And we are still trying to dig ourselves out of that hole. And I think we're doing a very good job. Look, we're here today talking about it. This is the thing. We can't I don't want to focus on how people feel about me, right? Because then I wouldn't be here. I got to continue to push on what I believe and how I feel. And you know, sometimes that can take you to a destructive place, right? That you don't want it to be, that you don't want it to go. But again, when you're dealing with entities that don't see you, don't hear you, don't care if you're around, don't want to do business with you, you're going to end up having some type of animosity built up. And then it turns into something else, right? And then it spreads to your children and then to your family members, right? And this is the thing. We have to understand as black people, as black men, people of color, it's about nigger containment with them. It's either containment or dead. There's nothing in between that. And we all know this in society because we have been treated on the level. So we've acted that way, such on a level. I heard, again, I watched a documentary called Made in America, and a guy by the name of Kumasi from Los Angeles, California, because they were talking about the army, the death that's going out there with the Crips and the Bloods. He talked about part of the mechanics of oppressing people is to pervert them to the extent where they become instruments of their own oppression. And that is why you have the war between the Crips and the Bloods. How can a war like that go on for so long without all these people that walk the earth, mediators and senators and all these peaceful people, but they can't step ground zero into a place like that. And now the ideology is spreading. And it spreads because there's a brotherhood and not a brotherhood, there's a brotherhood, but there's also a family atmosphere to it. And if you ask anybody, that's how it goes. So again, it's about containment or either dead. And for white folks, they gotta understand that quickly. For the white folks that are with us, because we know that we love the white folks that are fighting alongside us. But it's gonna be a lot of pain fighting alongside us. It's gonna be a lot of things that you're not gonna wanna hear. And I'm sorry about that, but we have to get past that point and move forward. or it's gonna be the end for all of us.
That's powerful. That's deep. What was that name of the programming again?
The documentary is called Made in America. It was by Baron Davis, who played the NBA.
Yep.
There's also another one called Bastards of the Party.
Yeah.
And that is by Clee Sloan Blum, who used to be, he was a Athens Park Blood in Los Angeles, California. If you look his name up, he's done movies and done documentaries. So there you go.
Yeah, I've seen that. I watched it. Very powerful stuff. Yeah. So TG, you want actually Jake? Why don't you respond?
Yeah. So, in response to when people are saying all lives matter or Black lives don't matter, all right, everything these two brothers just said is a reason why there's a difference in when we say it. Because if I'm a culture, if I'm a man saying my life matters, how callous is it of the other people listening to me to say, oh, well, all lives matter? Okay? That's my rebuttal to that. How can you say that when you plainly see that my culture is dying by law enforcement, each other being weaponized, again, gangs going on wars between gangs? How can that be fueled if we're fighting the same war? So somebody's dipping into the hood and saying and setting these fires here and there. Okay? Because if you look at it, you look at any set, any borough, no one's trying to live that lifestyle forever. You see every rap song right now, I got out the hood, I made it out the hood, and I'm blessed. That's how you're being blessed. You're not being blessed by staying in the hood and staying in warfare all the time. You want your children growing up in that? No. So it has to be government influence into those neighborhoods, putting us and leading us and keeping us right where we are. So Black lives matter because of all the bullshit you put on us.
And that builds on the point that Sean was trying to make earlier. But I do want to go. That's okay. I do want to go back to the question of, so there might be some people out there who just say, well, it doesn't happen in Vermont. Vermont is, this is the Bernie Sanders state, the Bernie liberal state. How do you respond to that? Go ahead, TT. Yeah.
It don't happen in Vermont. Bunch of crowd. I marched in this town. We marched in this town. Black Lives Matter. We had the protesters on the side of us walking with AK-47s, shotguns, guns, and other people from different organizations that wanted to stop us from marching. No, we were peacefully protesting, saying Black Lives Matter. If all lives matter, then why do you have a problem with Black Lives Matter? Because in all lives matter, should be Black Lives Matter too as well. They're just worried about their persona of their picture. We, NBIP, Northern Berkshire, Black Lives Matter, North Island, we came to Vermont on the request of our brothers and sisters because of the stuff that was going on in this town. Literally, I still have videos. I still watch the videos. But at the end, right? I'm gonna tell you how this community worked out. Me and my brother Sean Pratt stayed at everybody left. We told two guys, M16 on his chest, extra clips. Told let's talk after this. Everybody go away, the police go away, because we already know I'm not scared. I'm fighting. I'm here. I'm fighting for a reason. I'm fighting for a cause. Just like my brother Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They wore ties. They wore suits. Right?
That's right.
Right? Then what happened? They both got killed, assassinated. They didn't get killed, they got assassinated.
Yep.
Period. So you can wear your tie, you can wear your suit, you can go to Harvard, you can do anything that you positively you want. It don't work because they feel we're as a threat. We stand up. We just got the Nobel Peace Prize, Black Lives Matter, and guess what? We're criminals, we're thugs, we're this. But nobody want to talk about January 6th, the invasion of the Capitol. I call that an invasion. Because if that was Russia, if that was Korean, if that was a foreign country attacking our capital, that's called an invasion. I'm not trying to single nobody out. Actually, what January 6th was horrible. You can't sweep it under the rug. You can't. We're not going to be muted. We're still here. We're still going to keep moving forward positively, peacefully, and anybody get in the way that you just want to hear our message.
And I want to add to that too.
Sure, Jake. And now I want to switch over to another question.
Brief, you know what I'm saying? And just to address this whole thing again with the question at hand, you know, with people dying in the news and stuff like that, ask yourself, do Black Lives Matter? When you get incarcerated for minor issues, you know, and you get long, I mean, just this thing right here is getting on my nerves. The fact that you legalize weed, and then you got all these white people in the behind the booth at the dispensaries selling weed. And then you got your brothers and sisters, your cousins that went to jail for the same thing. Okay? Do Black Lives Matter? Okay? Just, you can check every last one of the players on any ball team you want to. You know, the black players have some kind of record. Bet. And the white people have domestic violence squeaky clean. They don't get their careers messed with. They don't get their paychecks messed with just because they beat on their wives for those white players. For those white players, you know. So again, do Black Lives Matter? So when you asking that question, really dive into it and see it for yourself. Does it matter? Do we matter? Because when you look on the news and everything, we don't matter to them a lot. If you can just kill us and get away with it, brushing on the it's a mistake. I reach for my taser. I'm sorry, but if you saying that the young kid got back into his car, you ain't gonna tase no car. You reaching for your firearm. Things like that.
Yeah.
So do Black Lives really matter? You ask yourself that.
Yeah, Ghost, I got a question I want to ask, but I want you to lead with this question, but also add on to what you wanted to say by saying what you wanted to say. So the question is, a lot of people that are watching this are going to be wondering, what can we do? How do we make sure that we bridge that gap, build trust between the community and policing, right? To make the Black experience better in Vermont and really at large. Can Vermont set that standard? Can Vermont be the model for building bridges and between the black and brown community and policing? How do we get there? But I also want you to add to say what you wanted to say before.
So what he was saying, they said it doesn't, to them, we don't matter. Because I had an instance of what he just talking about. I was incarcerated for that. I was given 2 to 5 years. Another guy that had way more than me, way more money, and everything else caught with federal time. The feds gave him 1 to 4 years. They gave me 2.5 to 5. So that shows you that's some racism right there. And being with the police around here, we need somebody not really to police the police, but we need people, we need them to interact with us more, and basically when they take off that uniform to have some kind of human compassion, because in the long run, as soon as you take the uniform off, you're another human. So you shouldn't try to, it's basically like they using, like you said, the authority and everything, and this position of power to oppress us. They need to talk with us, interact with us more, all that stuff, because, like he said, like Titi said, there's the good cops, and then you got the ones that's like, I don't care, this and that. They get their interaction, because I've had other interactions where I wanted to respond with violence, but I was like, you know what? It's not my place to give me your karma. It's gonna come at another time. So they just need to interact and talk to us more, talk to us like the human beings. Because if there isn't any, it's gonna be chaos.
Sean?
Relationships. The relationships that you build with people will last longer than anything. The relationships that you have with people, right? Now, it's hard to have relationships with people that you like. Try to have relationships with people that you don't like. That's where most of your learning comes from. It comes from that. It comes from the people that you never think that can give you that kind of lesson or give you that kind of talk, right? For instance, two of these guys up here, I didn't even know, right? But let me just say this, in Vermont, we have a way of not talking to each other, black men, right? So now here I am, I'm gonna get on black men right now. We have a way of not speaking to each other, right? And there's certain types of black men, different types, right? We got the street guys, right? And we got the guys that are smart, they know their stuff, they went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they went to all these places, right? So why can't there be a mixing of understanding from that? And again, we're still fighting with each other with that notion of smart, stupid, whatever, right? Which comes straight from white supremacy. So,
Let me ask this, Sean. So you're saying build a relationship between black folks who may have different values or upbringing. It goes back to what I was saying before about that, definition of whiteness versus blackness. So if we were to expand that, right, go beyond that, how do we build that relationship even so that it extends into the larger community? And the reason why I ask this and I ask you specifically is because I know what you're trying to do with your pro ball team. Sports can be a great uniter, right? So how do you bring people together around common purposes, common purpose or common interest?
you let them know who you are. Just what we're doing right now, that's why we're here. You let them know who you are, you let them know what you're about. People may think they know what I'm about, but that's their narrative. I control that narrative. So we bait, like I said, as the relationships. Because I think black people have done everything that they can do to show white America and America in a whole that, we want to love you, but can you love us back? Can you love us back? Can you, when we go for a loan and we get turned down, and then you look on the pages of the loans, and then you see all these white folks and no black folks that's got businesses, you gotta wonder, what is this about? Why is every time I go to the bank, I get shut down? Okay, right? But that's economics, we're not gonna go into that. But again, the relationships, because the relationships lead to the things that you're gonna need to do when you do business or any of these other things, right?
Yeah, no. So the other part of this is that there's a I know this. I don't trust police for a reason, and I have friends who are cops. I have very close family friends who are cops, but I have my reasons, right? You get this traumatic experience.
We don't trust police either.
Right.
Again,
So
that's the hard part. It's being in the middle of that. It's being in the middle of that, right? Because if we don't have police, then it's gonna be all hell break loose, right? So we're not sitting here saying we want police to go. But now it's not that we don't like police. We want them to do what they're supposed to do and not have to argue with them. Like that Chauvin case was like a joke, right? And everybody's watching it like, really? But they're gonna tell you, this is justice, right? We can't just burn them, right? But how many times have they done that to black people? Just burnt them, right? So where's our justice? So the relationships, we have to build those relationships, and they have to come to us. We can't keep coming to them. If they don't come to us, then what are we supposed to do? Sorry.
So community policing, knowing the people in your community, build, I think, was it, Jake, you had your hand up, you wanted to ask something, so go ahead.
Yeah, as far as building a better relationship between your police and your because really again I just have to go back to what is in their protocol as to how to handle Black situations, because initially you get a call and it's in a certain neighborhood when you're going to go into a Black neighborhood, so a thorough psych evaluation of who this officer is and can he handle those type of situations. They're not doing a good enough, for me, they're not doing a good enough job of giving those officers psych evaluations so they don't show signs of racism and things of that nature before they get into that position of power. And again, along with what Marion is saying, just picking people from the actual neighborhood will be a better selection than somebody that doesn't know anybody over here and saying, well, let me go police these people I don't know. I don't care about them anyway. It'll be a more practical thing to make a better selection and then evaluate those people psychologically to know whether they fit the criteria of handling this area. Just like any other job.
So I'm hearing community policing, psych evaluations, which can be also, you can also say, screening, right? Screening people as they come through. So you got the right people coming through who understands empathy, right? And what about oversight? Go ahead, Raymond.
I'm gonna say it to the younger generation that's listening right now. If you want change, join the police department. Period. If you want to change the police department, if you want to change City Hall, be that person that has compassion, moral, self-respect, and get in the office. That's the only way you're going to make change. That's the reason why I decided to put my name in the city council. We have to make change either ourselves, the only way you want to make change in this community, if you police your own community, that means you, young generation, you, Black, white, people that's compassionate about protecting and saving lives, that's want to protect the Constitution, join the force. That's the only way you're going to make change. Take out the bad, put in the good. Period. Done deal. Because if it doesn't change, it's just going to keep the murderers going to keep going. And them cops gonna get shuffled around because there's a loophole when the cop has a ticket or something under their belt, they just go to a new police department. We need to close the loopholes and put the people in our community in these positions. There's no picking.
And that's the compassion I'm talking about, that you would have for your own community, the respect. I know these people right here. Mm-hmm. These are my neighbors. I have to protect my neighborhood. There's reason enough in that alone, other than the oath you supposedly took to serve and protect. Well, I'm serving to protect my family. I'm serving to protect the people that know my family. What other reasons would you need? That is that would be a very good implementation. I don't know the word, but I'm just saying that would be something good to put into that criteria of things to know what an officer is supposed to do.
Come to a community, play
Right.
If you're involved, if I know this person, then I can easily talk them down. You know what I mean? Just like they do every other mass murderer who go out there and shoot everybody down. White guy, let's talk him down. He has a mental issue. Well, let's talk about our mental issue dealing with this every day. You don't go crazy and just shoot up liquor stores and shoot up convenience stores and stuff like that. And I have to deal with going outside and my heart racing because I've seen a cop pass me, or he's walking the beat and I don't know if he's gonna mess with me or not. I've been stopped at bus stops. A bus stop. How much stuff could you be doing at a bus stop? So knowing that is an issue. I'm sorry, but knowing that that's an issue for Black folk all around, you will want to put people in a better position. That selection thing is what is getting us right now. And putting more black people in better positions is another, way about going about this. Because the reason I say that, because even though we being oppressed by white folk, we don't go around trying to be racist back to them. When have you heard of that?
Can I jump in for a second? Everything we talking about now with the policing and what you said, how they different when it comes to that, it hit me early in the morning because I saw a video on Facebook, and I can show it to y'all and you gonna see it, because they had this one white kid sitting next to a car and this and that. They talking to him. He was injured from somewhere else. They helped him and this and that. Another person that they was talking to, you see the cop come, waving that baton, basically assaulting them. You had other ones who were already, basically they was already arrested, and another cop come running from out of the picture and kicks him in the head. Or the other one come punching them. I've seen them assaulting young black females and all this other stuff. I was so mad this morning. I had to come outside for a walk after I watched that video. I'll show it to y'all, and y'all gonna be like,
Which leads back to accountability.
Right.
They hold us citizens at a standard.
yeah.
And remember, there are black cops too,
Yeah, exactly.
and we don't retaliate.
Hold on. So they hold us at a standard. So we're gonna hold them accountability.
Yes.
Accountability is gonna be the key to this. Because if we can't hold you accountable, we vote you in, we vote you out. People gotta realize your vote counts. Your vote is the most powerful thing in this country right now. As a black person, black, brown, indigenous, or whatsoever, your vote is the most powerful thing that the government don't want you to realize that you have. We put you in there. We'll get you out peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
And the people have to be accountable and to be on these boards, these committees.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not just all these other things going on, and we have to be able, but we have to understand why we're doing this in our community. We have to see a reason for it, because there was a time when I didn't see the reason for it. But being around certain individuals that have helped me come up, like the NAACP, like the Peace and Justice Center, who allowing us to be in this space. Without some of those apparatuses and people that are connected to these organizations, we wouldn't be able to get these messages out. But again, we want to be able to have a voice. Again, we're not trying to portray any image of we want to hurt the community. No, we're there for the community. We want to be there, and we want to help. We want to help our community, help our families, because we have families just like everyone else have families. So
I just see, going back to the question before, someone put in the chat, qualified humanity, which is a way of saying that a cop cannot be prosecuted or for certain actions. That's the rough translation of it. So a cop is protected as a sworn officer, right? Which is what the reason why some of the instances where we see cops don't get charged, right? The reason why some cops don't get charged is because of this qualified humanity that police have. And it makes it difficult for even some of the good cops, right, who want to do the right thing, who might be sitting there and thinking, this stuff really bothers me, right? I mean, I have a very good family friend who's a cop who they made his life a living hell just because he said something about the George Floyd situation, right? So someone is proposing getting rid of things like qualified humility. I mean, George Floyd, we got one conviction. I mean, and we all celebrate that, something that's supposed to be normal, right? You're supposed to, well, it's not supposed to be something that we all bite our lips and wait for conviction for right. It should be something that goes through the judicial system normally, right? Walter Scott was another example of that. So, but I just wanted to point that out because that came in the chat. We are at the end of our the first half of the segment. we're gonna switch gear and talk a little bit about issues with incarceration. So you heard in the intro that Vermont has 1% of its population identified as Black, but 1 in 14 are incarcerated. Do you know anyone who has been incarcerated or currently in prison in the state?
I know a couple of folks. I know that even though Vermont's 1% of black state, 96% are Caucasian, right? And they got 1%. Well, most of their jails is flooded with black people. I know flooded, and they don't send people to county. They send people down south. They send people all over.
South, what do you mean? Clarify.
Like, well, let's say you like Massachusetts, they got a DOJ. When you go to Concord, Shirley, or somewhere a small case in Vermont that gets you sent down to Tennessee. They ship you out. Period.
Not to cut you off, TT, they closed that down that
They shut that
facility.
down?
They had Kentucky, they had Tennessee, they had Alabama, they had Michigan, and now they have Mississippi because my brother is incarcerated down there right now.
Is that something that you feel comfortable sharing? Talk a little bit without divulging too much that will compromise the situation. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? What do you?
I don't mind talking about it because I experienced racism in there from one of the officers. This officer was in there, he just had it out like I was the most vile creature. And then come to find out, I look and this man, he had a short sleeve shirt on, and then depicted on his arm is a black baby in a noose on his arm, and we in the heart of Kentucky. And then another instance, they had a power outage, and part of my friends with this, but they told the townspeople who was basically policing around it from an electrified fence, their words were, if any of those N-words get out of there, shoot them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I basically, like, going towards the facility, Confederate flags everywhere. Basically, how you see depicted in the movie with hillbillies and all that other stuff, I've seen it firsthand. I was afraid for my life. Afraid. That's the first time I was so afraid for my life that I just really kept to myself and all the other stuff. And I knew a few people, but down there, it's really just from your skin tone, you weren't human to them.
Wow.
And this is the thing with incarceration, not just, right? Because they got a high proportion of black people incarcerated that's in Vermont, that's going out of state. And, there's a lot of also white community members where they're sending their families out, that's poor, they're sending their families out of state. So now there's things that usually happens because of that. They don't have enough money to send their loved one. They can't see them because they're way in Mississippi. How are you going to be able to see your child? There's a case going on and he's not, they send you out of state. They send you out of state. So now the people, the people are not able to see their kid. Whether, let's say it was in Newport, next thing you know, you shipped him out and he's in Kentucky, he's in Babyville. And how is a parent supposed to visit his son? But again, people may be saying, well, he's in jail. Why would he care? Okay, but that's not your kid. So again, we have to care about people.
And that doesn't make them less human.
Right?
That's
So, right. And that's the thing. Like, we got to go back to the caring. Right? Because all too often, we perpetrate acts of anger or violence against each other when it shouldn't be that way. But again, that's the main thing about the incarceration. Stop sending these people's families out of state so they can't visit their children, and then they get charged so much. A lot of these families can't afford it. These people are poor. We're poor. You know what I'm saying? And we try to do the best that we can to keep our families together. So that goes for black people. That happens to black people, but that happens to it happens to all of us at the same time. So I just want to put that.
Why are there so many black people in jail?
Because they're scared of us. America holds the most people in prison than any other country ever, period. 5.9 million people are in prison. 5.9 million people are in prison in the United States of America, land of the, how do you say the
Land of the free.
Home of the brave.
land of the free, home of the brave. And you think it's not a systemic racism, economic racism, passionate racism? This is Jim Crow 2.0, worse than that.
Yeah.
Worse than that. People getting, think about it. Black people, black women getting killed, black men getting killed, black babies are getting kidnapped, sex trafficking is up. Like, where do we stop? We get attacked from white supremacists, there's bigotry all around us. Like, where do we stop? They're throwing stuff at us, and we're dodging it, we're fighting. There's only so much that we can fight before anything, like, they got this in this mind. The people that have a lot of bigotry, I'm just saying like they have a lot of bigotry in their mind and their belief from the 50s and 60s that they want to push onto the new generation. It's not going to stop if we don't stand up and stick together. That goes for black people, brown people, indigenous people, and our allies. When we're out there marching, I understand you got a sign in your yard. That's cool. That's understandable. Get out there with us, shoulder to shoulder. Show the administration, show the school committee, show the police department. That's not allowed in any community, period. Because if Vermont needs help, we know people in North Island that can come here and help. Collaboration, like Sean said, build the bridge, relationship, and show those people that when the community is strong and we're united, state, town, state, whatever, let them know that we're here, we're deep, you're gonna hear our voice, and our voice is gonna be reckoned with, period.
And this is the thing, remember, containment, containment, which is incarceration, or dead. George Floyd.
Posse
Nothing in between.
Posse Comitatus. Another thing to look up, Posse Comitatus. 1878. 1878. That's the law that allowed control of states to form their own group to corral people. Police did not become the job. What's the job of police? Serve and protect. Rule. Property. Property. Who was property during slavery?
White folks, slave owners, oppressors.
No, who was the property?
Oh, black people.
The black slaves.
Slave and people enslaved were the property, right? So the people that were enslaved were property. Remember, black folks were not whole persons.
3/5.
3/5.
When they were allowed to vote, it took 3 black folks to run out to 1 white vote.
3/5. So 5 black person equals 3 white person. That was the 3/5 compromise. So all of these things that we're talking about when you talk about systemic racism, that's what we're getting at here. That's what I'm hearing circulating. So that actually,
And why that was allowed in that time, any era of time, why that was allowed, just the inequality right there. Right then and there, I'm a slave, I'm not no less a human than you are. And I can go upstate and get all this jobs and stuff and work just like you do, in the north. So it was like, why didn't it stop right there? We need to realize that this issue didn't just begin, and yeah, we need to address that now. We have the ability to do more now than we did back then. Understanding and knowledge is more probably now. So we have the tools to do it now. So that's basically what we had to address right there.
and actually, Jake, if you can lead with this, so tying into what you were just saying, just the question, a follow-up question would be, are there instances here in Vermont where instances of systemic racism in Vermont prisons? And this question can be for anybody. Anyone can address this. Do you know of instances of racism, systemic racism in prison? And just for clarification, for those who might not understand what systemic racism is, it is an institutional policy or practice that reinforces racist standards in the workplace, organizations, and public places.
So indeed, yes, there are many instances of racial profiling when you're going to get a job, interviews. Your hairstyle can determine whether you get the job or not. Not your actual appearance or your experience, your knowledge is null and void because you have an afro, or you have cornrows, or you have dreads. And that right there can stop you from living, or, you know, and that's basically what we're doing is surviving. We're not living like the people next to us. You know?
Let me ask this: does that challenge manifest even more if you have a record? If you've been in the system, does it get worse? And this is also, it's not just for Black folks, because when you go to prison, you don't get, right? So go ahead.
So to answer your question right there, I've been on a couple of jobs in Vermont here where, yes, there are felons who got the job that you got, you know, but they still don't get the flack that you get. Because you're a Black man, you have to walk on eggshells everywhere you go.
Mm.
You're not to be a threat at any time. But these guys have records of being threats, okay? I don't have a record. But anytime in any one of those jobs that somebody needed to go, or even if they needed to make a felonious tale to get you out the door, guess what? You're going first. Prime example, there was a guy I was working for a certain cell phone company. It was my coworker, you know, and he got caught stealing. Caught him on camera, all this stuff, whatever. My situation where I'm a person, at my job, I had to meet and greet people every day. So the fact that I'm in a predominantly white part of the geography or whatever, it's hard to do my job versus a white person because of my appearance. I'm a tall Black guy with a big afro. Is it easy to approach me? Who knows? Versus the blonde haired, blue eyed guy over here who's a normal person, not threatening at all. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, when it was time for me to go, they had to make up all these, you did something fraudulent. We had reports of you sexual harassing coworkers and stuff. And the same people that they were telling me that I was supposedly harassing them, I had text messages from them to me, news and all, you know, and I never asked or wanted any of that.
Okay.
The thing about it is, when you get to those type of situations where it's Black versus white, you know, that's the unfair part about it, because you have to fight through your appearance. You have to fight through what they already think of you. And then give off this vibe of you can't connect with me or you can't talk to me.
I think I understand what you're saying. So you're saying is the color before it goes back to, again, what comports with white culture versus Black culture is the color first, right? And the appearance, right. So it's the color before the status.
Right.
And that's on them, right? Exactly. Like I don't want to, right? It's on them about how I look. It's not my fault. How can I change that, right? And I'm not trying to change how you really feel, right? Because if you try to change it, then you're not real, right? So it's like,
or you capping yourself from being who you are.
but but I'm just saying, not us. I'm talking about the person that looks at us.
Right.
Because the thing is, that's why we're so inferior. Like I said, it goes back to that inferiority complex where white people have a superiority complex, right?
And they will forever see you as
And
Low beat.
That's why we get talked down to, right? A lot of times, still do, right? And some white people don't even know it. They don't even realize
That they doing it.
that they're even doing it, that they're even talking down to you. I mean, problematic. So I'm bad, Joe.
And that's what we call microaggressions, right? So,
Right.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
So you was talking about, have you seen any racism or synthetic racism in being incarcerated? The white officers in that job, them COs, they take me, I understand they're in a prison, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't hear that I think people should be aware about, should listen to. Them inmates have a voice. Them inmates in there, even though they did their crime, society's supposed to give them a second chance, right? Regardless of what color you are. I watched inmates get beat half to death in my cell 31. I watched because a female correction officer got disrespected, locked down the unit, called the CERT team. At least 30 white guys came in and beat the guy in cell 12 for at least an hour and 30 minutes. Now, all of us inmates was banging, kicking on these doors to get the white shirts to come down. Their authority over these correction officers, these white shirts be charged as well. Because there's inmates in there that's getting, like, I'm talking about like beat for no reason, just because the CO came in and had a bad day. I don't know if he had an argument with his wife, his kids, or his co-workers or anything. Them COs need mental evaluation. They need to be checked at all times because the stuff that's going on in the jails, we don't hear about it. The only way you're going to hear about it, I see the letter. And guess what? They're reading our mails. Letters don't get out, somehow disappear. And when you write up a CO, that's the worst thing you can do because it's going to go to the top. Then the person that controls the jail is going to meet with the CO. And the CO, it's a gang in jail. The same way with the police on the street. Those COs are gang members in jail beating down inmates. Just because I committed a crime doesn't give you the right to whoop my ass every single day. Period.
And there's a level of traumatic experience that goes with that. When you see your fellow cellmate or the guy in the next block getting beat down, and you're trying to get help. There's no help. No help is gonna come. I mean, it's got to be traumatic.
It's a psychological thing when they put you in prison or put you in prison. Period. If you're in there, you consider the animal. There's no TVs. There's no nothing. There's no visits. They're harassing the woman when they come up. You can't see your kids. It's what they say. It's their policy. If we're gonna hold them accountable, we're gonna hold the COs and the judges accountable because the jail right now is slavery.
It's straight slavery. And just so people can know, when it's time to eat, they yell one word. Child.
You get 5 minutes to eat.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 minutes.
And everybody go running.
And that's it. And it's not like, okay, we made a mistake. We're gonna live and eat out and take the responsibility to do what we can to get back into society. Because I'm gonna tell you like this, I've been there, I've done that. It changed me.
Yes.
I can say I'm a walking success story because I haven't been back in 10, 11 years, and I refuse to go back because I'd rather stay and be productive in the community, take care of my kids, and be an advocate for the voices that don't got no voices. So you can't say jail doesn't work for people. I'm not going back to jail, period. That means I'm gonna get out, be productive, get into society, be part of my society and my community, and fight for what's right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. It's a learning process. Folks teaching kids how to hate white supremacy. Hate is taught. Hate is learned. It's passed down.
Not going with it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a couple of other things too, as far as everyone in their different lifestyle growing up, whatever it was that got each one of y'all incarcerated. You have to think about this one thing is, was it me or was it the system?
System.
Both. You know, when you put into an environment where it says, okay, well, I got college or I got the game over here. the game paying right now. It ain't even no guarantee that college gonna work out for me anyway. If I ain't playing ball or doing some other kind of stuff like, whatever, in entertainment. So college doesn't look so lucrative to me other than making this money over here. And it's the systemic racism that's pushing you that way because there's nothing really over here for you. So is it me trying to survive and getting money, or is it the system that's pushed me over there and now they're saying I'm a bad guy because I sold drugs a little bit in my life? I'm a bad guy because I had to peddle this to get a good job. As a matter of fact, I had to get this gig off over here, selling this dope, to get nice duds, to get a nice car, to go get this other job over here because they want me to look this way. How am I supposed to get the money? They ain't gonna just give it to me. So you get it the best way you know how, and it's, you basically being the product of what they want you to be, and we all have fought out of that.
So I do want to follow up with that, with a question on that statement, because
You don't have to be that person.
one of the things that people say is, I've heard this, people say, well, you got all these black people that come in the States, they bring in drugs, they bring in violence and all these things. It's not so much you, Sean, you, my neighbor, I get you, but you have all these other people that bring in drugs and violence. How do you respond to that?
If they can sit there and say that about black people bringing drugs in, right? And I'm not standing at the borders counting how many people coming in, right? I don't think anyone's doing that, right? So you're saying that, and you got people who do say that, and it's very ignorant. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not happening. Of course, there's people bringing in drugs. There's all kinds of people bringing in drugs in. But to specifically say it's black people bringing in drugs, see, this is why they had the case again, a case out on them recently. That was settled, and again, that's a way that they had to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Because they got that way of thinking. Who's bringing it? Really, what about the problems here that's already been here, right? And if they can say that about black people and black men, then why can't we say that what they're doing is wrong, right? Only, again, it goes back to what they believe about us, not what we think about them, right? It's always about what we're doing, how we think. Go ahead.
So,
Marion, go ahead.
there's an instance of what he talking about. I know the person he's talking about that was incarcerated and all the other stuff. They just had 2 raids where basically all the people that were in those households were all white. They're all not in jail right now. They found thousands of dollars of drugs, firearms, and underage people in there. But this was recently in about the past 2 or 3 weeks. One was up the block from the police station. The other one was up the road leading the pound. All of those people are out of jail because they're white.
So the idea here is that it's wrong to have this perception that drugs are coming in because black people are bringing in drugs.
And who's making that statistic? Who's putting that and pointing that finger at us? So when they say that, oh, black people are bringing in drugs, really? It's us. Last time I checked, we couldn't do nothing in America without somebody. We can't even go on the highway without getting stopped. So how are we bringing in trafficking into anything, and we walk on eggshells everywhere we go, anything we do?
And let me ask you a
And
question.
you mad because you set us up with your drugs and we making a profit off of it?
And let me ask you a question. Where's the proof of that label?
Basically,
Because we should be flossing right now.
Exactly. So why are we still in poverty if we shipping in all the drugs coming to us, we getting it all day long? Where's the proof of that?
And these people that were caught in the raid, they said it was all white people one of the biggest grades they had is Bennington. They've had other grades with black people in it, substantial amount, but the one that they just had, which was up the block from the police station, everything they seized was probably more than $250,000.
And let me say this, because this goes to Russell, Ghost, because they tried to target him, the newspaper and the police department.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the most horrifying thing ever. And they know what they did.
Oh,
And again, you just destroying someone's life and not caring. So again, that's a part of the racism, systemic racism that we see.
they actually came to my house with a tactical vehicle vest and AR-15s. I was like, are you serious? And they closed the block off and they had helicopters and all that stuff. I said, I even said something to the officer. I said, this is your morals? I said, you know somebody got something that's killing people down the block, no names. But I said, you coming for me? And then that same officer now is not an officer anymore.
Wow, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack.
Indeed.
And so my question then is, what message do you have for anyone watching, politicians, legislators in the state? What are some of the laws that they can, what laws? TT, maybe I'll give an opportunity to answer this question, but what are some of the things that politicians in the state, legislators, and people who want to do the right thing, community members, activists, and people who want to be part of the solution, whether it's policing, whether it's incarceration, whether it's making specific changes within the policing structure, what are some of the things that they can do to support our community legislatively, but also in other ways? And I know, Raymond, you mentioned some things before earlier, so if you want to add to it.
The main thing is stop the oppression on our votes. In this country right now, we got 32 states trying to re-roll our voter rights. We have to be a vote. If you want to make change, the only way you're going to make change is to join, not forces with them, but it's to be the change. Join city councilmen, get on your school committee board, know what's going on in your town, in your city. If you want to be an activist, if you want to help your community, this is the only way you're going to do it, by voicing you as a person, using your voice, using your power, using what you have the ability to do. They can shut us down, they can do anything they want to us. But when it's more than one, they can't lock all of us up. They can't put every person, ally, family member in prison. They can't do that. When we stand together as one, as unity, instead of being divided, it's going to be a better America, because America was born on immigration. They call them illegal immigrants, where America, the only people that are illegal is us if you're not Native American. We was forcibly brought here. We was forcibly to build this country on our ancestors was forcibly to build this country for a great America. World War I, World War II, our ancestors fought, shoulder to shoulder. Korean War, ancestors, black, white, we all, anytime we go to war, they send our people as a citizen. When I say people, I mean everybody as an individual, to fight for oil, or money, or gold, for stuff that we don't really know about, because we still have our own domestic issues in this country. My main thing is that if you want to be that person to make change, step up, keep using your voice. It's a lot of stuff that we need to do as a person and individual, but we're not collateral damage no more. I refuse to wake up and raise one of my kids. My daughter's 22, I got a 17-year-old. If I was to get a phone call that my daughter just got shot, And I'm out here fighting for everybody else's. The community needs to speak up, regardless if it's in New York, regardless if it happens in Minnesota. If it happens, it happens. We don't talk about Nigeria where they still have slaves. Slavery is still over there. Black and brown people being enslaved, enchained, being whipped. We all know about this. Putting guns in Chicago, starting beef wars, starting all that. Accountability is going to be the main thing to how we hold this country and come together as a unit. Once we as a unit, we cannot be stopped. The government cannot stop us. And once we keep using our voice, expressing how we feel, because they're going to keep throwing the Constitution in our face. They don't want us to learn knowledge.
And that needs to be redacted, the whole Constitution, because if you're gonna say that this is the land of the free for all cultures, then it needs to be implemented. Certain things need to be implemented for each culture.
Exactly.
How so we have a land of the free, or free culture, free religion, and all of the above, if you don't have influences by every culture to be written on this tablet of wonder or whatever. You know, that's why I have no respect for the Constitution. It doesn't respect me.
Well, so what you're saying is amending the Constitution to make sure it's inclusive and include everyone.
Equality for all,
Quality for all.
not just for a certain race.
Okay. And I mean, one of the things that you said, Raymond, about the, slavery and the African slavery, because I've heard people say, well, slavery starts in Africa. And it goes back to what Sean was saying before about that inferiority complex. But who brought the idea of slavery back there first, right? I mean, we can go into a whole philosophical arguments about all of that. That's a whole different conversation. But I just want to point out that goes back to what Sean was saying before about the inferiority complex.
And if you want to really go back into, where slavery began is with Egypt and all that stuff, I'm sorry, their slavery was a little bit different than white American slavery. Okay, we got in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they said they had like wages for their slaves back in the day in Egypt. And that's not what the type of slavery we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about cruelty,
Human cruelty.
human cruelty for no reason, for no good God-given reason.
Land to be free, home of the oppressed.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up with this because we gotta turn to questions. I've been monitoring the chat and seeing what questions, if there are questions in there. We will open it up for questions in the next 5 minutes or so. But I do want to ask this one final questions of you all. So one of the things I hear is it's tough to find work when you have if you have been to prison, right? So society generally has this stigmatization or stereotypes of someone who's been incarcerated as inmates, right? If you check the box on an application, that's it. You're even getting that job. Someone Google your name, they see something that they don't understand, and they think they know you based on what they found without even actually finding out the story. Well, bye-bye job. So can someone speak to that experience if you have experience like that? And what can we change? How can we change that perception and give more people opportunity?
Can I start off?
Absolutely.
Before I was incarcerated and then I got out, I walked around this town for 2 months to almost every place looking for a job. And so I finally went to a temp agency and built a good rapport with them. And they got me a job, which I was at that didn't discriminate against me when I went there. And I ended up being an intern there. And from there, I transitioned over to a job and I was there until I hurt myself. So I built a good rapport. Some of these places, when they say equal opportunity, it's not equal. But some of these places are open in their eyes to equality in these jobs. But a lot of them, like he said, I went in there and my hair was cut short, like nice fade, everything. I had khakis, all the other stuff. I went to these places walking in the snow and everything. Another jacket looking nice. And we don't have nothing. But then I talked to somebody else I know, same place they went to, I went there 2 weeks ago, they worked. I was like, it's like, you know what, I ain't gonna make y'all love me, but I'm gonna show y'all what I can do when I get into one of these places, and they're gonna hire me. And that's what I did with the current job that I'm working at right now. I went in there and showed out and showed them, it don't matter what my skin color is, I had a work ethic instilled in me, and I'm gonna do it. And every time I went up for reviews and raises and all the other stuff, I received all of them. And I go to work dressed just like this.
Wow. And
So,
it's,
I want to add to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I do apologize for interjecting right quick, but
it's okay.
I'm a black man that has never been to prison. And every job I've been on, there's at least 1 to 2 people, white, who've been to jail, always trying to start conversations and saying, you know, oh, well, you know what I'm talking about, brother? You've been to jail? No, I haven't. Okay. Number 2 is the fact that no matter whether you've been to jail or not, your skin color creates a barrier on approach. Soon as you make your presence known, then you have to intend to, well, this person is looking at you. Now, is he gonna be my nigga, or is he gonna be just a nigga?
Yes.
Because he's not a person. He doesn't have a name, and he's here to work for me. Okay, that's the only resume you have in their eyes. So for me, a black man who doesn't have a record, to come before y'all and say, well, is it easy to get a job around here? Is it easy to keep one? No, not at all. I've been up here 10 years and I've never held down a job. Am I handicapped? No. Do I have some kind of deficiency or do I have problems listening to my authority? No. We had a fire at Will State, and they will fire you at will, but they don't have to give accountability for that.
Yeah.
And that's the backing that they have. That's how the racial, how you say systematic racism?
Systematic
is
racism.
working at its best. Okay?
In Vermont.
Because not only have I moved up and had increasing pay in those jobs, but when the actual higher up saw who it was making that pay increase, I was scooted out the door several times. Okay, so that puts another mental block on me because you don't know what you did to get out of that job. You did everything that your job required of you. Your description on your job, you did it to the T. Nobody can say that they came to you and said, well, I don't like his attitude. It's just who you are as a person, a creature on this earth. They don't like you. It doesn't need to have a rational reason for them not to like you. And that is unacceptable in the society we live in today. You need to tell me you can stop my life because you don't like the color of my skin.
And they'll smile at you
And
and they'll know it was negligent and then smile at you and say, we're sorry, or you don't even get that. You won't even get that. And you already know the situation I'm having with a certain company. So that's the thing.
And so it's things like that. So you don't want to make a big whoop about that because then they call security on you. And now to keep you from getting a record, you have to just humble yourself, walk out depressed.
Black Lives Matter, I'm showing that my life matters.
Right. So when you tell, oh, get a job, I'm trying. And because I have a therapist and you keep telling me, when you got to hunker down and you got to keep doing what you're doing, it's not me that's the problem, sir.
Going nowhere. It's not going
I
nowhere.
can be as humble as I want to be. It's not me that's the problem.
That's right.
It's the society I live in.
Right.
On a bigger scope.
That's where it falls back. You can wear a suit, you can wear a tie, you can talk intellectual, you can be this honor roll student, you can drive this kind of certain car, you can have this house, you can have this business.
Legitimately.
Like, how was you given that? Did you have to work for it? Did your mom, did your dad pass that down to you? There's a lot of kids that got silver spoons and gold spoons in their mouth. Now, we from the gutter, we knuckle drivers, how we say it? Number drag, we're not drivers, we're from the street. Nobody wants to hear a person from the street. Our voices don't mean nothing, but guess what? Our voice will mean something. We will stand together. We will fight together, stand together, march peacefully, and get our word out. That's what we're gonna do for our people. When I mean our people, I mean our allies, brothers, sisters, and anybody that wants to be part of this movement. Because we're lifting as they're pushing down on us.
You
And as they keep pushing down, the more people shoulder to shoulder in unity, it's an uprise. The only way we're gonna uprise is positively, move forward, and doing it the right way. Because I'm tired of being humble. There's only so much humble that
It's getting to that point.
that I have to worry about my children's future. I worry about my kids' future, their kids' future, their kids' future. And I worry about my community.
Tell me, does this sound familiar? If you're fighting a government that is oppressing you, raping your children, doing all these things, that sounds like a revolutionary war that happened a couple years ago.
Genocide.
You know what I'm saying? Where somebody started this some stuff with a Boston Tea Party because they didn't like what the government was doing to them. So what are you trying to tell us, government? Is this what we need to do? You know what I'm saying? So before it leads to something like that, which nobody wants that, but they keep promoting it. You know, like it's nothing.
Okay, we're gonna,
Yeah, let's do the question.
I want to switch to question because this has been real and been fascinating. I want to thank all the panelists, but we're gonna switch over to time for questions. We've got some people that have been waiting and probably have a lot of questions. So let's go to the questions. I see here, this one is, are there positive steps in the right direction that we can encourage here in Bennington? Are there positive steps in the right direction that we can encourage here in Bennington? So in other words, what are some of the positive things that you see around Bennington that you can build on?
You want me to go? I know that there's a lot of people out there doing their best in Bennington. A lot of the allies or you know, people that support us and what we're doing and how we're feeling. And those people are tremendous with us and they're doing good work. But there definitely has to be more. We are at a point in Bennington where there's people listening, but there's more that we have to do. There's much, much more. Like I said, I don't know how we can continue. All I can say is I need the white people to want to talk to us. You can get me on Facebook. We can have discussions. It's about the relationships. We all have to talk to one another. So, like I said, I see good things, but we need to move a little bit faster, a little bit more quickly.
And just to add to that too, we all four are kind of new to this type of situation where answering a question like that is kind of a loaded question because of I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what I don't like and what needs to change. How you get there is through discussion. Okay, so if we can have a discussion about this, that's the start. Because everybody wants to ask the question, oh, well, how do you get there? How do we do this? Well, let's have a discussion, talk about it. That's how it starts. I just want to add that to it because communication is weak. I don't know what needs, how to change it. I don't know those steps. I'm not a politician, but I do know what needs to be changed. Just don't know how to get there. The white voice does.
Yeah.
Well, let's allow Mariam first, and then you can go ahead, Raymond.
Basically, it needs to be more communication with all these agencies out here in this community, because all of them say they want to help in this and that, but like Sean and Chichi said, people need to step up and want your voice to be heard, come and stand with us and say what you gotta say. Because other than that, it's gonna fall on deaf ears.
Go ahead, Raymond.
My main thing, you want positivity and to be better in Vermont or be better in the United States, stop grabbing your purse when a black person walks past you. Stop already having a thought of how black people act.
Stop watching us in the stores, thinking we're gonna steal something.
You know, like, you have this persona of this idea how black people are supposed to be are, but stop that, scrap that. You're your own person. Walk, if you see a black person, get to know that person. Get to know that brown person. Get to know that indigenous person. Speak. Use your words. That's what you was taught since you was in kindergarten. Learn how to write, create some, all that stuff. Use your words. The same thing I tell my kids. You want somebody to respect you, you respect that person back. I walk up to people all day and talk to them all day long. Now you know. That's how you make a change. When you see something wrong, speak up. It just don't happen in terrorist act. Say something, say something just doesn't apply to 9/11. You see something going down, step in. Because if I was in my community and I see somebody hurting somebody in my community, I'm stepping in. I'm putting my life on the line. If we could put our life on the line on a daily when we step out of the house, join the party.
Y'all should do this like 9/11 and never forget that the numbers are still going up for black deaths. And even in 9/11, there was black people that died in that too, but it's just the fact that we're still being executed.
Yeah.
So it's like a ripple effect of that happening from that day. We still down.
And Raymond, Gigi mentioned something that got my attention here a little bit too. When you're talking about see something, say something, because one of the things that the ACLU does is they do training, and I've heard you all say get involved, take action. And Raymond, you said this multiple times. One of the things that they do at the ACLU is they train people about knowing your rights, right? Know your rights, how to approach, how to be a good witness, right? Traffic stop. So it's not just that person that's being stopped. How were they able to get conviction on the George Floyd's murder? How were they able to get conviction on Walter Scott, right? Because you have people we recorded, right? So that's I appreciate that thought. I do want to say this. Everyone, please post your questions in the chat, and we will go through them as the panelists speak and get a chance to respond. Please put your questions in the chat. I think Sean or Marian, you wanted to say something.
Just with everything that's going on, it's everything we talked about here and this and that. I've seen it at work. I've seen it going to the store, everything. And I've talked to Sean last couple of weeks, and I told him, I said, it's really getting to me with all of this out here that I'm ready to leave Vermont. But my kids are here, and I need to stay here. Like TT said, I need to bring them up and change and help change this world before it leads to more chaos. So,
Yeah.
And it falls down to credibility. Same thing with accountability. Period. Like Michael, when I decided to have kids, it was my job to make sure my kids were safe. And it's still my job to make sure my kids are safe. Like I said, with the credibility, people, the only thing in this world that you're born with is your word. And when you die with your word. That's the only thing you can bring with you. Can't bring cars, can't bring house, can't bring respect is given, respect is earned. You respect me, I respect you. Fall back on credibility. People only want to believe me or believe any one of us or believe somebody out there if they're credible. Like when things going down, the word I want y'all to sit on your mind is called intervene. Intervene. George Floyd witnesses intervene. We need more people to intervene in hot situations like that. We need the police to be accountable. We need the government to hold them accountable, because as citizens, we're going to hold y'all accountable. That's why we need to start getting up in these city halls, senator or city councilman or anything other than that. If you want to make a change and you want to protect the community and your children's, get involved with your local branch, the NAACP, or the different organizations around here. Get involved. Boots on the ground means a lot. Don't think it don't. A lot of people put their lives on the line. I put my life on the line. They put their life on the line. When we out here marching and people walking inside of us with M16s and bazookas and grenade launchers, we're putting our life on the line to let you know that Black lives matter, brown lives matter, indigenous lives matter. But to be oppressed, to have a government to help the oppressors oppress us even more, put us in a low-income area, they don't want us to explode for something that, like, why y'all holding us down? It's ridiculous.
It's as if they put us in a race, chop off your legs and say, go for the goal.
But we're still not gonna quit. We're still gonna fight.
Resilience.
Resilience.
So someone asked another question. Why do Black people have to tell you how to change their own oppression? So in other words, why do Black people have to tell others how to change their oppression? I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, that might be what was being asked. Why do Black people have to tell you how to change their own oppression?
We shouldn't have
Sometimes
to.
we don't even realize that we're under oppression. That's one of the things that we have to make other people realize. If you're under that type of oppression, you're not even realizing that you don't get the good position at your job, or you got stopped for no reason, and you let it slide because, oh, that's the normal thing that happens around here. And that, yes, we can do something about that. So that's one reason communication needs to be a problem between this culture, because we've been bamboozled for far too long. We've been sitting here taking what's given to us.
And sometimes we gotta bring it to their attention, because some of them see it, and this is what they doing. They're looking at it, acting like they blind.
And don't see that they're being capped.
And another thing is, right, why should we have to, that's why we're here now. We're here explaining this, but why should we have to deal with that trauma of explaining it? Let's go back to how many people been explaining it. Let's go back. Denmark Vesey, all the abolitionists way back when, right? Frederick Douglass, right? Right up until after the Civil War, right? All those abolitionists. So here we are still explaining, right? So at this point, why do we have to keep explaining? The white people have to fight the fight just as hard as we're fighting the fight. And we've been feeling uncomfortable for forever. And that's a part of the trauma. And if we can go through that trauma and feel uncomfortable, why can't white people feel uncomfortable from the trauma that we have gone through? You're not going to be able to sidestep that. We're going to have to pay for that. Through reparations, however it is, right? Because you got people talking about we don't need reparations. We need all of that. We need all of that. We need all of that validation. All of it. I want it.
And at this time, white people's whole reputation is on the line right now. Are you these mean bastards that's been plaguing us for all these years? Or do you actually see what you're doing and have the knowledge enough to stop it? Say, we wrong, my bad, can we have some resolution instead of, thinking about revenge all the time?
Knowledge is key. And you can sit there sugarcoat it. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. Open your eyes. Listen to the facts and see what's happening around the world. You can say, oh, he had a criminal record. Oh, this person did this. Oh, maybe he should have drove down there. Won't you try to live my shoes? Come to my house, come to my area, and see what we're doing.
And what y'all wasn't there doing,
And like,
but you ain't doing nothing about it here now.
you see it happening. Intervene. That's the main key. Intervene.
See something, say something, stop being blind.
It just don't happen to Asians. I understand Asians not getting
Parents.
Asians getting brutalized and beat down. But we've been getting beat down for 500 some years.
And I'm gonna end. This is the thing, just to piggyback what TT said, because it all started with these black men getting killed and that coming to the forefront, right? Let's go back to the 80s when I was coming up with the Central Park 5 and
Yeah, that's right.
Wild thing, right?
Yeah, Wild and Out.
This is they made a racist thing out of that.
Right.
When it was just really an innocent word that kids used in the street in New York, right? So they used it to weaponize it against black men, right? So we're coming up in that era of police brutality at its highest peak. And then you have black parents that went along with police to say, yeah, get that kid out of here, he's too much, right? Jay-Z made a song about it.
Right.
Dolores Tucker, right? She was big back then and an advocate against violence, but it was directed towards black men. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And here we are still dealing with this era, right? The 3 strikes out, 3
Right.
strikes and you're out,
Right.
right? And this is the era that is continuing and it hasn't stopped at all. So
Well, it's been a powerful 2 hours of discussion. I want to take the opportunity to thank you all, Sean, TT, Jake, Ghost, Marion. It's been real talking to you guys. So thank you all for.
right. And let me say, let me just say, like, I want to give shout out to all these people, especially most, the women who've been really doing a lot of the work. They've been out there doing a lot of the work. Okay. We got to make sure that we stand behind them. Okay. And no matter what they do, we have to be there with them. So I want to give shout out to all the women in the state. That's all the black women in the state, right? And all the other women too. That's there. The allies and all of them. We appreciate everything that y'all do. So thank you.
Yes, very well said. And I do want to say, add to that note, by thanking everyone who's joined us today, in addition to our panelists, I do want to thank the Bennington Performing Arts Center, the Bennington Peace and Justice Center, Greater Bennington Interfaith Council, the Second Congressional Church, and the NAACP in Rutland. And yes, there have been a lot of women who have exposed themselves in a way that really make them vulnerable. Some having to move, and some assaulted in the state. And the next event that we will have will be featuring the stories of women, Black women in Vermont telling their stories. Thank you and have a good day.